Hi, Peter Charles here, Folks for Life Fly Fishing. And today I want to look at the issue of having either a thorax or no thorax on a standard wet fly, a soft tackle wet fly. And you'll see them tied both ways. And I think the assumption we make that bodies are added to these flies, in part for appearance, obviously, but also to provide sort of a rounded shape to the hackle. So as the current blows it back over the thorax, you get a nice sort of teardrop shaped hackle as you swing it in current. Well, I assumed that, but I never tested it. So I've got a fly here on vise, and this is old, it's kind of battered, it's been fished, and it shows the thorax. And as you can imagine, that the hackle will flow around it like that as it gets wet and pulled in current. We assume a fly like this, which has no thorax, will be flattened. But when I've run some tests, unfortunately I don't have any ability to actually video those tests anymore. Used to, but not anymore. When I've run tests, the hackle has the same shape as the hackle on this fly. In other words, it creates that same teardrop shape without the need for a thorax. So obviously if we're adding a thorax to a soft tackle wet fly, it isn't to give it the correct shape when it's being swung in current. It's for a different reason. It's for appearance. Maybe you want the spiky body, like this one is not done with rabbit dubbing, but if I did one with rabbit dubbing, we would have the spikiness of the bits hanging out. Also, this one is a light thorax, but thorax, the wing pads in a lot of caddis patterns, they're dark. So you've got an orange body or an olive green body or a caddis green body, but the wing area is a darker, almost black. So by adding a dark thorax to a fly, you're in a way imitating not only where the legs come out of the insect, but also those dark wing pads. And that would apply to both mayfly and caddis. They both have these wing pads, which when they hit the surface, the wings pop out of them. And they shed their skin and the wings pop out, fluff up, dry, and then they can fly away. So that would be the thing there. Now, some caddis will shed their pupal skins under the water, and they swim up to the surface using their wings as if they're flying. So they actually sort of fly up to the surface, then pop out and gone. Very actually smart tactical way of emerging, because you're doing your emerging lower down where you're less likely to be seen by a trout. Anyway, so what I'm suggesting is when you look at putting a thorax on a soft tackle wet fly, don't do it for the reasons of having a hackle that has a teardrop shape. You're going to get that anyway. What you want to have happen with this particular type of construction is that thorax does other things for you, imitating wing pads, giving a spiky appearance, making it look a bit like the gills or whatever. Just adding to the appearance of the fly so it's a little less simple, perhaps a tad more appealing. Now, the last thing I'm going to say is I would have both styles in my fly box. And I actually do with this particular fly box. I've got both styles in here. And having both styles enables you to, when you're out there fishing and you're swinging a fly and you're not getting many hits, change it up to the other style and see what happens. It may not make any difference, or it may make a big difference. You don't know until you try. So at least having both styles in your fly box, I think, is a way to go. And so you'd want the typical, I would go with the orange, the yellow, the caddis green. I'd also look at the dark brown, when looking at or you can use a pheasant tail, for example, for your bodies. And as long as you've got something darker, I would go with the darker. This one's a lighter. I would actually go with something that goes darker when it gets wet to give you that wing pad, the kind of like the messy abdomen of a regular insect. And I think gives it a little bit more visual appeal, but in terms of the actual action of the fly, I don't think it makes much difference at all. It might give you a little bit more turbulence, but that would be about it. So give it some thought. And I say, don't assume it's about the shape of the hackle. It doesn't have much effect. Think of it more in terms of the visual appearance of the fly, making it look more buggy, giving it more of the proportions we would normally see in a lot of these insects. So give that some thought. Cheers.